15 interesting facts about Nauru. Nauru is a small Micronesia island at Central Pacific Ocean, located northeast of Australia, about 21 square kilometers, 8.1 square miles, the third smallest country in the world by area, after Vatican City and Monaco. Population consists of about 10,000 people. No official capital, but Yeren district functions as the de facto administrative center. Number 1. World's smallest independent republic. Nauru is the smallest independent republic in the world, occupying a total land area of just 21 square kilometers, 8.1 square miles, which makes it smaller than many cities and even some individual airports located in the Central Pacific Ocean. This tiny island nation is a single, oval-shaped island surrounded by a coral reef with no natural harbor. Despite its small size, Nauru is a fully sovereign state and a member of the United Nations, maintaining its own government and international presence. Its compact geography means that every part of the country is relatively close to the coast, and it can be driven around in less than an hour. Number 2. Only nation without an official capital city. Nauru is the only sovereign nation in the world that does not have an official capital city. Unlike most countries, which designate a specific city as their political or administrative center, Nauru has never formally assigned capital status to any of its districts. However, the district of Yeren, located on the southern coast, functions as the de facto capital. It is the largest and most developed district on the island, housing key government buildings such as the Parliament House, the President's Office, and administrative headquarters. Despite its unofficial status, Yeren is where most national affairs are conducted, and it is often recognized internationally as the capital for practical and diplomatic purposes. This unique setup reflects Nauru's small size and centralized governance, where a single district can effectively manage the functions of an entire nation. Number 3. Once the richest nation per capita. In the 1970s and early 1980s, Nauru held the remarkable title of being the richest nation in the world per capita, thanks to its abundant phosphate reserves. Phosphate, used primarily in fertilizers, was mined extensively from the island's ancient seabird guano deposits, and global demand brought enormous wealth to the tiny country. With such a small population and such large revenues, Nauru was able to offer its citizens a remarkably high standard of living. There were no income taxes, and many services, including healthcare, education, and even utilities, were provided entirely free of charge. Lavish overseas investments were made, including properties in Australia, Europe, and even a stake in a London musical. However, poor financial management and the eventual depletion of phosphate reserves led to a sharp economic decline in the decades that followed, turning Nauru's story into both a striking example of rapid wealth and a cautionary tale of unsustainable development. Number 4. Phosphate-rich island. Nauru is essentially a raised coral atoll, meaning it's a small, elevated island formed from coral reefs rather than volcanic activity. What makes Nauru truly unique is its soil, which is incredibly rich in phosphate. This valuable mineral formed over thousands of years from the accumulation and fossilization of seabird droppings, known as guano. The island's phosphate deposits became its most important natural resource and the backbone of its economy for much of the 20th century. Mining phosphate brought immense wealth and development to the country, funding public services and infrastructure. However, the extensive extraction drastically altered Nauru's landscape, leaving large areas of the island barren and environmentally damaged, creating ongoing challenges for its future sustainability and development. Number 5. Devastating environmental impact of mining. The extensive phosphate mining on Nauru, although a source of great wealth, had devastating environmental consequences. Over decades, large areas of the island's interior were stripped of their natural soil and vegetation to extract the valuable phosphate deposits beneath. This relentless mining transformed much of Nauru's once lush landscape into a barren wasteland filled with jagged limestone, pinnacle-sharp, rocky formations that make the land virtually unusable for agriculture or development. The destruction of the island's ecosystem has posed serious challenges for the country's sustainability and recovery efforts, as restoring the damaged land is both difficult and costly. This environmental degradation stands as a stark reminder of the long-term impacts of resource exploitation on small island nations. Number 6. High obesity and diabetes rates. Nauru has some of the highest rates of obesity and type 2 diabetes in the world, a serious public health issue that emerged largely as a result of dramatic lifestyle changes during its period of economic prosperity as the country grew wealthier in the 1970s and 1980s. Traditional diets, once based on fish, coconuts, and locally grown fruits, were increasingly replaced by imported, processed foods high in sugar, fat, and salt. At the same time, the physically active lifestyle of earlier generations gave way to a more sedentary way of life, with motor vehicles and modern conveniences reducing the need for manual labor or walking. These changes led to a rapid rise in lifestyle-related health conditions. Today, a significant portion of the population is affected by obesity and diabetes, placing strain on the island's limited healthcare resources and raising concerns about long-term health and quality of life. Number 7. Pleasant Island name origin. Nauru was originally named Pleasant Island by British whaling captain John Fern, who became the first known Westerner to sight the island in 1798. As he sailed past the small, lush island in the South Pacific, he was struck by its seemingly peaceful, green landscape and the friendliness of the inhabitants. Impressed by its beauty and calm appearance, he gave it the name Pleasant Island. At the time, Nauru was home to an isolated Micronesian and Polynesian population who lived in small villages and sustained themselves through fishing, coconut farming, and traditional practices. While the name Pleasant Island was used by Europeans for many years, it was eventually replaced by Nauru, a name derived from the local indigenous word Anauaro, reflecting the island's true cultural and linguistic identity. Number 8. Limited freshwater resources. Nauru has extremely limited natural freshwater resources, which poses a significant challenge for the island's population. The country lacks rivers, lakes, or substantial groundwater reserves, making it heavily dependent on two main sources: rainwater collection and desalination. Most homes and buildings are equipped with rainwater tanks to harvest water during the wet season, but this method is unreliable during prolonged dry spells. To supplement this, Nauru relies on energy-intensive desalination plants that convert seawater into drinkable water. However, these plants are expensive to operate and vulnerable to power outages or mechanical failures. This dependence on external and weather-dependent sources makes water security a constant concern for the island, particularly as climate change brings more unpredictable weather patterns. Number 9. Unique transport. Nauru Phosphate Corporation Railway. Nauru, one of the smallest island nations in the world, is home to a rare and historically significant piece of transport infrastructure, the Nauru Phosphate Corporation Railway. This short, narrow-gauge railway was originally constructed in the early 20th century to support the island's booming phosphate mining industry. It was designed to carry raw phosphate rock from the rich deposits in Nauru's interior to the coastal processing and shipping facilities. Despite its limited length, just over 3.9 kilometers, the railway played a vital role in the island's economy for decades. Uniquely, this railway is one of the very few operational rail lines in all of Oceania, a region where such infrastructure is exceptionally rare due to the small size and remote nature of many islands. Although mining activity has significantly declined, parts of the railway infrastructure still exist and serve as a reminder of Nauru's industrial past It stands as a symbol of the island's historical dependence on phosphate and remains a point of interest for those fascinated by transportation and industrial heritage in the Pacific region. Number 11. No rivers or significant lakes. Due to its small size and geological makeup, Nauru has no permanent rivers or significant natural freshwater lakes, a rarity among sovereign nations. The island's porous limestone terrain prevents the formation of flowing surface water systems, making rivers and streams virtually non-existent. The only notable inland body of water is Buoda Lagoon, a shallow, brackish lagoon located in the island's southwest interior, surrounded by lush vegetation. Buoda Lagoon occupies a former phosphate pit and holds cultural as well as ecological significance for the local population. However, because the lagoon is brackish, containing a mix of saltwater and freshwater, it is not suitable as a primary source of drinking water. As a result, Nauru relies heavily on rainwater collection and desalination plants to meet its freshwater needs. The absence of natural freshwater resources underscores the island's vulnerability to climate change and drought, making water security a persistent concern for both the government and residents. Number 12. Home to the Pacific House. Nauru holds a place of diplomatic and regional significance as the home of the Pacific House, an important facility that serves as one of the secretariats for the Pacific Islands Forum. The Pacific Islands Forum is a key intergovernmental organization that brings together independent and self-governing states and territories across the Pacific region. Its mission is to foster political and economic cooperation, promote regional integration, and address shared challenges such as climate change, sustainable development, and ocean governance. The presence of the Pacific House on Nauru underscores the country's active role in Pacific regional affairs. Despite its small size, it provides a space for hosting high-level meetings, diplomatic gatherings, and collaborative initiatives that benefit the broader Pacific community. As such, the Pacific House symbolizes both unity and shared purpose among island nations, reinforcing Nauru's commitment to multilateralism and regional solidarity. Its existence on the island also enhances Nauru's visibility and influence within the broader framework of Pacific diplomacy. Number 13. UN membership in 1999. Despite being one of the smallest countries in the world, both in land area and population, Nauru achieved a significant milestone on the global stage by becoming a full member of the United Nations in 1999. This move marked an important step of asserting its sovereignty and participating more actively in international diplomacy. As a UN member state, Nauru gained the right to vote in the General Assembly, contribute to global discussions on issues such as climate change, sustainable development, and decolonization, and access various forms of international assistance. Its membership also allowed the country to amplify its voice on matters particularly relevant to small island developing states, including rising sea levels and the impact of global warming, critical concerns for low-lying nations like Nauru. Joining the UN not only symbolized recognition of its independence, but also provided a platform for engagement with the wider international community. Number 14. Smallest Olympic Committee. Nauru, a tiny island nation in the Pacific Ocean, has one of the smallest national Olympic committees, NOCs, in the world, both in terms of population and the number of athletes it sends to the Games. Despite its size, Nauru has gained international recognition for its strength in weightlifting, a sport in which it has produced several successful athletes. Weightlifting remains the country's primary focus at the Olympics, reflecting both local interest and the limited resources available to support a wider range of sports. Number 15. Australian Detention Centre. In recent years, Nauru has drawn significant international attention due to its role in Australia's controversial immigration policy. The island nation hosts an offshore processing centre for asylum seekers who attempt to reach Australia by boat, Under a bilateral agreement with the Australian government, these individuals are transferred to Nauru, where their refugee claims are processed outside of Australian territory. This policy, aimed at deterring unauthorized maritime arrivals, has sparked widespread criticism from human rights organizations, the United Nations, and members of the global community. Concerns have been raised about the conditions within the facility, including limited access to healthcare, education, and legal support, as well as reports of mental health crises among detainees. While the Nauruan government defends the arrangement as a source of economic support, critics argue that it places a disproportionate burden on a small developing country and compromises the well-being and rights of vulnerable individuals seeking protection. Thanks.